It's not right tonight.
Welcome to the Teacher's Pep Rally. If you missed our last episode about gratitude and attitude with our happiness guru, Crystal Steers, please go back and check it out. Our guest today is an educator with over 25 years of teaching, coaching, and leadership experience. She has taught a wide range of Florida and Georgia public schools. She holds a master's degree from Florida A&M University and has a leadership certification from the University of Georgia. She is known for doing what's good for kids and for building a strong culture within her schools. She sets high academic expectations for students and teachers while providing the tools for them to be successful. Her most recent endeavor has been the launch of coaching services through the Reading Bench LLC. Her company aims to support teacher leaders in their next step in and out of the classroom. What a perfect fit. Please welcome to the Teacher's Pep Rally, our guest, Latarsha Jones.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Yay. Man, I'm so excited to have you here. When I was reading some of the things you've done and are doing and thinking about doing in the future, I was like, we have got to talk to her. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Do you want us to mention the really sweet connection you two have?
It is sweet, isn't it? Well, I certainly want our TPR family and audience to really lean into tonight's conversation. Our relationship started professionally. She was my assistant principal. And so she has seen me, in that vein. Our relationship has really evolved. It has this ebb and flow where sometimes she's mentoring me, sometimes I'm mentoring her. We're sister girls. She's my blind spot chick. I mean, it's like everything all in one. But I'm excited for our audience because I think if you need a word, if you need some wisdom to just take you to the next level, I think tonight could be a very pivotal time for our guests if they're looking to move forward. And I'll end by saying, she said one thing to me that changed my career. She said, we know what you're doing in the classroom. Now everyone else has to know what's happening and you need to let your light shine. And she gave me permission to do that. In education, we have a tendency of trying to be behind and hidden, but she just gave me permission to let my light shine, to be unapologetic. And then after that, I became teacher of the year. And then she said, you do know that these walls are too small for you. And then here I am. So I'm excited. Again, if you're ready to move to the next level, tonight could be really pivotal. So we're in for a treat.
Wow, that's a really nice explanation. And I think that that's something, Latarsha, that we try to do in the podcast, even for ourselves, is to remember to let our light shine. A lot of times, for some reason in the profession, that just seems to be something we don't do. We don't know how to, I don't want to say market ourselves, but just share in the joy of what we're doing and the things that we're learning, even in our failures. So I imagine as we start talking to you, I don't want to jump too far ahead to the coaching part of it, but I have to imagine that's part of your magic, yes?
I would think so. I think so many times we have been coerced in this idea that you have to stay in a certain box. And education in itself is this box. We have our own acronyms. We have our own way of doing things. And we create these robots, right? And there we have so many transferable skills that I'm learning now that we never tap into because we create people who do the same thing year after year after year. And we stay in the same place that we've been year after year after year. And we get the same results that we've gotten year after year after year. And there's this level and there's this undertone of mediocrity that nobody addresses. And so if we're never addressing the mediocrity, then we are continuing and perpetuating the mediocrity. Right. And so you have to have somebody who's willing to say, hold up, mediocrity is not enough. Right. And sometimes you have to ask the tough questions. Sometimes you have to write somebody up. Sometimes you have to say, yes, sis, you're good, but since when is good okay? Like, we need to be great. We need to be better than good. You know what I mean? And that's what Letitia represented. She was good, and we go through and we do these observations based on these outdated evaluations. We do these things on this outdated curriculum. We do these things based on, what I did at the last school. And it's not enough. It's just not enough. So I'm willing to do what's uncomfortable, because I know in this day and age, and if you look at when you've been in education for 27 years and you've gone from doing overheads to writing on overheads and doing Black Line Masters, and now you are tapping on iPads, you can see that what is mediocre is not enough.
I think you just aged me 25 years.
Yes, I did, sir. I'm right there with you. And own it. Just own it, sir.
Right, that's right.
Pete, she's my new favorite guest.
I know, right? And
Just own it.
Fred.
we've been trying to do this to Fred for what, 2 years now? And she just did it in 2 sentences. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm your girl.
So as an AP, let's put your AP hat on for a minute. How do you get a building full of employees to jump onto that mindset? That's got to be really hard, right?
The buy-in, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the things is you have to understand that it is not your job to be everybody's friend. And first of all, my first commitment is to the students. And if I'm always looking at what's good for kids, then I'm always making the right choice. So it may be uncomfortable for you to say, hey, I need this data. Because if you give me this data, then that means that we have the pulse of what's happening with our students, right? I need you to contact these parents because that means you're in tune with the community. That's what's good for kids. It might be uncomfortable, and I'm going to coach you the whole way, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to ask you for it. So I always use the kids as my guiding principle, right? And so it's hard, but I choose my heart. It's harder to clean up your mess. It's harder to undo when you said something or you've done something or you got a kid who's in 3rd grade and who can't read. I've seen that. The prison, the pipeline, like, come on, let's talk about it. Like, we've got to stop playing this game like, oh, let's just pity pat. No, let's just deal with the hard right now. And so if I'm always looking at what's good for kids, then my choice is always right. It may not be comfortable for adults, but it's good for kids. And if you signed up for this profession, that's your goal, right? So we can always meet that. We can meet. It might take you might have to go around the corner. You might be mad at me in the beginning. Oh my gosh, she's upset with me. They're pissed off because I don't know if I can say that. Oh. They're upset.
We encourage that.
Sorry.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's not that I'm being overtly rude. I say it in a way that say, listen, hey, I understand that this may be uncomfortable for you, but let's look at our 2 options here. Number 1, we can look at what's good for kids and do it this way, or we can take the long route. There's a way to say hard things.
You just said something that's really important in general, and it's a real firm leadership principle too, right? Never ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. But more importantly, like you're telling them, you're correcting them, but you're giving them a path forward. And I think we all have examples from past conversations and amongst our own experiences where there's a lot of people that love to tell you, this, that, and the other, but there's no guidance beyond that, and you're left guessing. And there's a lot of guessing. There's too much guessing, I think.
Yeah.
I wish there were more like you that were saying. The word that keeps on ruminating through my head right now is accountability. And I don't know why. I think we're getting to a very important conversation, but you're framing it up nicely. So
yeah. And I think you have to leverage what's in your building. If I'm saying to you, this might be uncomfortable for you, then that means I already know that I need to put A, B, C, and D in place to help you with your place of discomfort, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to take it away from you, but I'm going to give you some buffers. Where's my data person? Where's my curriculum specialist? Where's my training? Where's my coaching? You know what I mean? So that accountability comes with some security because you want to keep people whole. You still want to keep people whole.
Sure.
Right. And, and I think, being a product of your leadership, I think one of the key takeaways as a teacher that I got from you and the person that you were supporting at the time, co-leading with when I was with you, is that I realized as a teacher two things. That I had one leader that was excellent, and her skill set was really building people that came intrinsically motivated, that if she asked you, okay, so what are your goals? Where do you want to go? She would be all in there with you, to help support you. I always felt, Latarsha, that you were the other end of that, where you have this beautiful ability to really take the diamond in the rough. Mm. I think you actually get joy from that. Like you that's love to, yes, that's your jam. You get dirty in there, you provide all of those buffers. And so for the teacher leaders that are listening, I think, the accountability on our part, and if we want to break out of this robotic mode, is that you also have to get the pulse and the heart of your leader, figure out, where do they fall in that? And then if you want to grow, then, you go to the Latarshas, and then, you go to the other leader, whichever fits you. But, taking that also that accountability in gleaning from the leadership in your building.
Yeah.
So we're talking a little bit about your leadership in building culture, right? And so my question to you is, what needs have you discovered within the last couple of years, we'll say, of what we need to be doing in the buildings to better support each other in education?
Yeah. I honestly think we need grace. I believe that there is this expectation that everything has to look how it has always looked. That's a lie. That is a lie, because the truth is that what I have learned is that the teacher's heart hasn't changed. The teachers still have a heart for this work. They still have a heart for this work, but there is no blueprint for COVID. There's no blueprint for the trauma. We have some teachers who have lost multiple family members due to COVID. So here we are balancing an emotional loss, spiritual, and let's just talk about the political, the unrest of the world. We have had so many heavy topics swirling around at one time.
Yeah.
When has that happened? In our lifetime, we have not experienced that, right? And so there's this lie that we have to do the same thing, the things that as they always have been done, right? So I can tell you unequivocally, if I had my own building right now, I would eliminate some of those systems that we use to evaluate teachers, to meet with teachers. Because if we can teach students virtually, then certainly we can adjust how we deal with teachers, right?
Amen.
We can make all these adjustments for kids. We can teach them virtually. We can give them books virtually. We can conference with parents virtually. We can make accommodations for parents. We have done all of these accommodations for everybody we're serving. But yet in my district, you're not giving teachers time off if they have COVID. They have to take sick leave, right? So for me, the need is, do we need 5 evaluations every year? Do we really truly need that many evaluations? Could we make some adjustments there? Do we need to have meetings? So there are some simple things that we can do in our buildings, right? I asked my administrator, and I'm very much, she said something to me the other day, which I've only been working with this administrator since August, and I have a heart for people, and that is a non-negotiable with me. I will walk out your building if I can't do that work, right? And she said something to me the other day. She said, "You see people," and I said, "Yes," and I'm gonna need this yoga to come in here on Monday morning.
Right.
Exactly.
Amen.
I'm gonna need this yoga instead of a meeting. Oh my God, that's great. Okay, sis, let's do this yoga. So the need is grace. And what does grace look like? Grace means that I don't have, as a district level, this is not schools, because schools can't decide that they're not going to do these certain number of evaluations. But schools can decide, do I really need to meet with these people and take these times and do these PLCs and all that kind of stuff when people are struggling? So to me, that is the most urgent need, is keeping in mind that teachers' hearts have not changed as it relates to kids, but teachers' hearts are still hurting in their real life and school life.
Yeah. I just was reading an article the other day because I keep hearing from a lot of leaders and a lot of teachers. I mean, all over, there's going to be a mass exodus at the end of this year, if not even before that. Mass exodus, mass exodus. So the other day, a journal popped up and it caught my attention because it actually said there's not going to be such a huge exodus as people think. And as I was reading it, what you were just talking about, it said that even though teachers are hurting, that based on polls and data of how many actually haven't left since COVID, the heart is so big still for teachers. That's why they're in this business. They're in this profession, that a lot of them aren't leaving as much as people would have thought. But that doesn't mean that it's okay to keep treating them the same and to keep the systems in place the same. So I wonder, because this is what I love to do, I'm sitting here already thinking about, okay, so what would a different evaluation look like? Like, how could we start thinking about that? And my one thought was, when I was department chair, what I'd like to do is I'd say, hey, I'm going to be scheduling things just coming through. Don't worry about it. I'll probably do it a lot more often than you would want me to, but it's because then I can kind of pick and choose as we're going. Everyone has bad days, things, you might be taking a risk on something that doesn't go well. I actually would love to see that, probably more than I would see like a really great day. But let me know if there's something you're super excited about that you're about to do, and let me come to that. Like, I'd much rather that be the evaluation. I don't know if that's, Latarsha, something you were talking about, but get excited about what you're doing. Get excited about what your kids are excited about, and then open your door to share it with other people. And I think that's that light, right? That goes back to the light you were saying, to shine, so that we can see what you're doing and get excited with you. What do you think?
And I think too, though, and I love that idea of doing that, but I think for teachers, though, I think that they need districts to risk something, in that they need to pay up something, right? They need to give something substantial in the way that it says, listen, teachers, we see you and we hear you. So this year, evaluations are going to look like this. You were going to do 3 informals for the entire year. Not these formals where you got to sit down and you got to do something substantial, to me, because it's almost like they've got to give up something. The system has to relinquish something, because buildings will do, like, I think administrators are ready to be unconventional, but it's the districts, it's the state that has to relinquish something. They're not giving us much. We did something unconventional this year with raising money for our school, because you go get business partners. Well, most of that is geared towards students. We have COVID money, all students. Very minimal money. We were very unconventional at the school level. We said, we're not doing that. Every letter we wrote this year was based on, we need money for our staff. That's a school level thing. But what are the districts doing? If you polled every district, what accommodations have they made? I think for teachers, they got to see their districts take a risk on them. Nobody's taking a risk on them. Schools can try to do stuff all day long. Principals try to do it all day long. But what are districts doing that's risky?
Right.
For me, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off, and that says that they care.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is the whole, I mean, I was just on a coaching call the other day with a teacher, and she said that her team basically said, we love our school, but we're leaving the district.
Yes.
And that it was an entire team that had said the same thing. They had the same testimony. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of the heart and the light, Erin, because I think that is important in what you mentioned. I mean, I've seen you in action too, right? But I think it goes back to what you said, that we are in different times. Mm-hmm. The heart is big and the light is a little dim, because for so long we haven't been taken care of. For so long, teachers haven't been taken care of. Mm-hmm. And so now this is massive. And I think for me, the rub for me, and what, to be quite honest, ticks me off, is that I believe systems like districts know that teachers' hearts are big and still in it.
They bank on it.
I mean, Pete has done things in these last 2 years under this COVID situation that has blown my mind. Like, how does a music teacher do this? And he has shown us the heart, the courage, the passion. And what bothers me so is that the system takes advantage of our heart and our love for what we do, and they really take advantage of us. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that's so disheartening to me. And it goes to your point, like, we're risking everything, teachers, their health, their childcare. I mean, to your point, they're losing folks. But what about a teacher that's a single mom? I mean, I thought about that. If I was still a single mom during COVID, I'd be in trouble.
Right. Trouble. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be in serious trouble. And it's almost like no one thinks about that. It's just like how the kids don't think we have lives outside of school.
Yeah.
I had another teacher say, I feel like they want me to be an excellent teacher at the expense of being a terrible parent.
Mm-hmm.
It's unacceptable.
And this is real. It is. And I'm just going to throw it out here. But maybe, trying to get some political connections and empowering teachers on the political front, on the policy front. I think we're so into the work that we forget that education is politics.
Yep. Pay attention to the policies. They have to post them publicly.
Yeah. Policies run our lives.
Yeah.
And so, because this is such a systemic thing, I think some advocacy along those ways would be awesome.
Yeah. I think Fred's wheels are spinning. What's up, Fred?
Yeah, and I apologize. My dog is barking at something outside, and it's really dark. And I don't know what it is.
Did we hear it? I don't know.
I don't if you hear it. Just,
bear season again, Fred. Watch out.
Yes, they are. They are lurking. You said so. I'm coming in from the higher education level, and you're talking on a structural level that I'm not well in tune with. We deal with things structurally differently. The goals are still the same. The focus is still on the students. So that's what you just said before is really interesting about, of maintaining our heart. But I think the one thing that was interesting is what you said about grace. So grace can't happen if everybody in the room is talking to each other, right? I don't think it can happen. So if there's 3 parts of this puzzle, just say the school, the student, and let's put the parent in there now. Mm-hmm. You said it before. We're all in it, and we've said this many times on our podcast here for the past year or so. We're all in it, but I don't think we've recognized it. Like that's what you're saying. You're saying that almost like from the administrative side, we're not recognizing it. So great, let the administration recognize it, but guess what? The parents don't recognize it, and the students may not be recognizing it. And so, like, how do you begin to exercise grace if you don't have everybody, and I guess for lack of a better term, on the same sheet of music? Because you're right, something has changed. There is something wrong right now. There is something that needs to change. And we're all great right here talking about it. There's a whole other group of people that aren't aware of like this conversation. That's why we created this. We want to make sure everybody is starting to hear this. That's why the TPR community has to be bigger, because to make anything change, you're talking about systems, you're talking about funding, you're talking about parents and the parents that have an agenda and the parents that are out to lunch and then everything else. Like it almost feels like there's got to be a come to Jesus meeting here for everybody. And just to say, hey, look, this is what's going on. That's why I love your tone, because everyone's been afraid of that, because everyone's fragile. And because everyone's so fragile, we can't have these hard conversations. And I don't know, I think everything you're saying is stuff that I'm going to I have my coordinator meeting this week. So you're fueling up my tank.
Yeah. And get crunk and get amped up, because it's true. I mean, one of the things that really, and I hate to say this, one of the things that really, I guess, helped me make the decision not to become an AP and a principal is because, unfortunately, I hung around with so many, for so long, I really began to see that they really don't have the amount of power that as a teacher, I assumed that they had. But then when, they let you come behind the curtain and serve as grade level chair and be on important meetings, it's like, wait a minute, they really, they have to balance their own moral compass with policies and asks from the district that often is not really in the best interest of children, but they have to comply. And so as a contractor now, to be able to go into a building and be able to tell people how I really feel and what I really see is such it's just so empowering, because I don't have that fear lingering, and I think that's what education needs, a lot more courageous, bold people that are willing to say, I will walk out of this building if you don't let me do the work that I need to do.
Listen, and I said that straight up. I said that to her 2 weeks ago. Unapologetically, these are non-negotiables for me. And Fred, you said something important, that people are fragile. And in my experience and what I'm experiencing lately is that the adults are fragile.
Yes.
The students are resilient.
They've been amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The adults are fragile. See, and, I'm dealing with some parents. I'm in a very different dynamic of a building this year. And nobody has wanted to have some of these conversations with the parents that I'm having. And so I had a parent in my room, and her child keeps hitting the adults. And they keep pacifying this behavior. And so I had mom, and she was literally ready to walk out the door one day, cursed, amped up. And I said, hey, mama, give me 5 minutes. And we have a resource officer at our building, and everybody was on pins and needles. They didn't know what to do. And I said, hey, come into my office. And they were like,
not the office.
Not you gonna let her in your office? I said, yes, because that's Grace. So I need y'all to see this in the motion, right? I said, hey, mama, sit down. I let her speak, give her voice, right? And I said, and I heard her out, and I said, well, here's the truth. This same behavior in the streets is going to translate like this. And I broke it all down. I said, I'm talking to you as a mom who has a brown boy. And the tears flowed, right? So all the adults are fragile in their feelings, but that doesn't negate the fact that this child still needs to be served. So I don't care about fragile people. I care about kids who are underserved. And so if I choose hard, it's going to be, am I going to work with your fragility? Like, okay, are we going to deal with this? Or are we going to deal with kids who are going to jail? I'm choosing, let's deal with the children.
Right.
You understand? And so, when you think about grace and where does it start? It starts with me. I cannot be concerned with what's happening with other people. All I can do is exhibit grace in the way that I speak, the way that I behave. And I set that tone. People come into the office cursing, and I say, listen, we're not going to do that. If somebody is cursing you on the phone, hang up. If somebody needs an answer, tell them to call me. Because I can take certain things and I will say certain things as a leader that you can't say. So but again, that goes to why I feel like God has put me on this earth to build culture. Because it's a skill. And I wasn't always great at it. I said things incorrectly. I hurt feelings. I was just like, wrong, that's dumb. Don't do that again. You know what I mean? But through experience and working with a person like my former principal, who taught me how to, finesse it, now I'm powerful. Now you can't tell me nothing, because I'm not going to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to grow you.
So it's December 2021, and our guest tonight is talking with this strength and this boldness and this energy that is like so recharging right now. My cell phone is not plugged in and has been recharged just by her talking. It's like, like amazing. I wish there were more administrators, leaders like you. I'm so just thank you. I'd like to know, being in a leadership position through all of COVID and whatnot, for you to be coming into us tonight with this energy, with this passion, what do you do to recharge? What do you do for balance? What would you like everybody out there to know that administrators are doing to navigate this, so you can be your best for us? But obviously you are, but what do you do for you day in, day out to get through this?
And then we're going to put it in a bottle and sell it. So you're ready.
Yeah. Number one, I have a strong faith. I feel like you have to be plugged into something that's bigger than you. You have to be plugged into something bigger than you, and you have to practice that on a regular basis. And this is something very simple that I do, and people laugh at me. I had a stroke several years ago at my school with Latarsha, and it changed my life, right?
Our lives.
Yes, it changed everybody's life. And it was because I was going, and I had no regard for myself, my body, my health, what I was eating, what I was drinking. And this is not anything profound, right? But there is a level of awareness that I have that is so keen now, that is critical to me being exceptional now. Exceptional, right? I do not play the radio in my car, typically. I don't have extra noise. I do not sleep with the TV on in my house. I don't have a TV in my bedroom. These are simple things, because what we don't realize as leaders in schools is that what happens in a building when you get out your car, you start running from the time you get out of that car. What happens, Pete? Do you have any downtime from your car to your classroom?
No.
What is that? Downtime?
So everybody is shaking their head, right?
Oh, no.
So if you think about your day, it is all of these things are coming at you. Can you do the You can't make it through the hallway without somebody stopping you. You have multiple emails. All of these things are clouding your head, right? And then we get in the car, and then our heads keep spinning. We get home, we feed the dog, we deal with the kids, we turn on the news, we I don't do that. I don't listen to the radio. I might have my Pandora playing like through my phone or something like that, but that is selected music that I have. So it's little things like that that create space in my brain to like flush out all of the crap, all of the spinning, all of the excess stuff. I go to bed. I sleep better. I gave up sodas. Like these are simple things. And I'm saying this and caring for myself, because we think it's this, I have spa days, and it is not. It is the simple caring and being aware and alert of your body. Even the way that I speak. Even I'm very in tune with my cadence and like it's that. And the other thing, so I have a strong faith. I pray daily. I do a lot of meditation, affirmations. I speak to myself. I'm very intentional about what is in my head and what I'm dumping. Even sometimes if my head is spinning, I journal. That is my go-to. I get it out on a journal every day. Like literally, I have a journal right here next to me. And then the third thing that it has been critical is I changed my circle of people. Number one, I can't have a friend. My friend group cannot all be teachers. the wrong answer. I cannot, you know what I mean? Because we all, what do we talk about?
Work.
School,
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I've changed my circle. I try to get people in my circle who are bigger thinkers, who take me. I've been out to Sundance Film Festival. I went out to Denver by myself. I'm doing new and interesting things. So I'm not just a teacher or an administrator or a leader. I am a woman. I am creative. I like different things. And so I guess to sum it up, I just became aware of who I was and what I needed, and I started doing it for myself.
I love that. It's the little
you.
things. And you mentioned, like you said, just little things we can do. That pace from the minute you get out of your car to the building.
Yeah.
That's that. I call it a teacher pace. And I do it all the time. I catch myself and I'm like, where am I rushing to right now? Because you don't have time, even for bathroom. Like if you even
Yep.
have time to go to the restroom, it's like a great day. So you're just constantly. And so I think you're right. Just being aware of what's going on, what your body's doing, how you're reacting to it. When I start catching myself in that pace, I'm like, holy cow, where am I rushing to? And I just have to slow. And I tell you what, within a minute, I'm doing it again. I'm like, no. Slow it back down,
Yep.
slow it back down. Because
Yep.
you start getting and you're just kind of like, everything's tight. You're just,
Yep.
barreling through. So well, we all are book lovers, but I really, really love books. I have all these books in front of me. Do you have some book recommendations for this kind of stuff, or things that you feel like educators should be reading or have on their shelf to kind of help them with a lot of these great ideas?
Gosh, that's a really good question. It really depends on where they are. I am, gosh, what's the name? Few, everyone talks and few communicate. Let me find it real quick. I just did a book on Audible, which is my go-to.
Yes.
That's another thing I do on my in my car is I do my Audible books. But I'm very big too on, you got to find what's right for you and what you need in the moment. So many times we get caught in like, what's the most popular book and what's everybody else is listening to. But that may not work for everybody. I'm a John Maxwell person, but this book right here, let me find it real quick. It is Everyone Communicates. Hold on. Everyone Communicates, Few Connect.
Yes. Okay.
Everyone communicates, few connect.
Oh, this is a John Maxwell.
It is an easy read. I find that communication is a huge disconnect when I'm talking to teachers, parents, students, everybody. That is a common denominator, even with me as a leader. When I'm trying to guide teachers and I'm frustrated or I really want them to get something, I have had to learn how to communicate it better, because how the impact of it, I can't control the impact of it, but I can get better at how I deliver it, right? And so that is a book that I use often with my coaching clients is Everyone Communicates, Few Connect by John Maxwell. That is an easy read. It's a universal book. And so it's not on trend all the time. It is something that is a core principle. That's what I want to say. It's a core principle.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And also in your coaching, you had mentioned earlier that you always say that you hold space for educators as people. So when you're coaching, how do you make sure that philosophy is being held?
Yeah. So, we identify as teachers. Who are you? Oh, I'm a teacher. No, like you're a woman, you are creative, you are so many things. So I try to hold space for them to be something other than what society has told them that they have to be, because they fall under the expertise as a teacher. Or they fall under that title of a teacher. It's interesting because I have gotten paid so much money in these last years for my transferable skills. we could run a company. Anybody on this platform right here could run a company. We could,
and we
could
do.
run right. Like we could go into a Fortune 500 company right now, sit at the table with them, listen to them for 30 minutes, and offer them something that they would say, what?
Right.
Because we do it every day.
Every
Yeah,
day.
That's very true. Yeah.
But somehow we don't. So I hold space for them to say to themselves, sis, you're not just a teacher. Take all of those skills and all those beautiful things, take them out of your teacher basket. Take the apple off of it. Take off the apples, please. And put it, no more apples.
Not on your resume either. Please do
No
not send
apples.
resumes with apple borders,
No
pencil
apples.
borders.
We're not just apples. Okay? But I know if Pete is in music,
Oh, treble clefs and keyboards. No more piano ornaments.
done. But
No
I
more
bet you
treble
if
clefs.
but if I put you on Broadway, or if I put you in a motion picture, and that you were sitting there and they said to you, Pete, we need some insight on this soundtrack, I bet you would rock their socks. Why?
Yes, please.
Because your perspective, what'd you say?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. He'll take
I'm
the
on
job.
board. Let's go do it.
But I dare you, go apply for one.
All right.
Go
Thank
apply for one. I can guarantee you that you would get hired. Because you offer a perspective that they don't have. They don't know how to teach it. They know how to do it, but they don't know how to teach it.
Mm.
But Pete can sit at the table and say, okay, y'all, look, this is how you're going to do this. I need 5 of you to get over here, and I need you 2 to go here. And then this is what we're going to do. And then this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to create this lesson plan for you. And then all you got to do is follow this. Ready? Boom. So I hold space for people like Pete, who's fabulous in a school building, but doesn't know he can go to Sony and create a masterpiece.
Right. And then I would assume you take, when you're saying don't hold that your first thing is, oh, I'm a teacher. No, actually, I am a lover of reader. I'm a writer. You know what I mean? Then you bring that to whatever your profession is, education, classroom, the building, whatever. Now you're passionate because you're not just a teacher. No, I'm not just. It's that box you talked about.
Yes.
The spoiler alert, my takeaway. Let's get ourselves out of the box.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And and what's so interesting about this, how this conversation has really pivoted, is that when I was wearing the recruiter hat, right, school districts have kept us in this box, right? I mean, let's be honest, right? They've kept us in this box, which I believe, this is not a conspiracy theory, but I think it's very purposeful that they keep us in this box. But then we have these amazing Generation Zers and Xers who want to teach. And guess what they're saying? Well, where are the opportunities? They'll come teach for a year, and then they're looking to run a building or at least opportunities for leadership. And so we lose them because we're not saying exactly that. And we've had amazing classroom teachers, present company included, that have gone outside of that and started companies and businesses, and we're doing more than just teaching. And I think just even from a recruiting standpoint, districts have to pivot and really start encouraging teachers to tap into all of who they are. Because really at the end of the day, kids get a better deal.
Yes.
Kids get a better deal when a teacher is all of who he or she is, right? And
they
tapping
stay
into
and
that.
they feel valued, and you feel this different level of energy. If I was going out and doing this fun, creative job, and I had this little side hustle or whatever that I was doing that was feeding my soul, it keeps me alive. You know what I mean? And so I just bring more of that to my building.
And you're modeling to your students something that they might, tap into or find interesting, or
and they start to really get permission to do that for themselves too, right? I mean, I think that along my journey, when Latarsha gave me that permission and let me know this building is not big enough for you, so stop it. It kind of got my wheels turning. And then I started thinking about all these other things And I'm gonna tell you guys, and I hope our teacher friends are listening to this. I did a training the other day, and to be quite honest, I'm not going to say how much I charged, but it was pretty significant for an hour on my computer talking to a group of people. And the person said to me at the end, the teacher says, "This would be such wonderful material for my teachers back in the building. Can you send the PowerPoint so we could share it?" And I said, "Thank you for asking the question. The teacher and me would love to send this PDF. However, my intellectual property is really important. So connect me with your principal and I'll redeliver to your school." And I share that because teachers, every lesson plan we create that comes from here, we just give everything away. It's all of our trademarking, our copywriting, but we just give it all away. We just give it all away. And so I hope someone's wheels are turning right now.
Me too. I'm sure they are. Well, Latarsha, we started this year asking people because we want to lift up educators, coaches, mentor. Is there someone from your childhood or growing up that inspired you, or that you'd want to kind of just make a special mention of that played an important part in your life?
Oh my gosh, so interesting. It's interesting because my grandmother raised me, right? So she was the everything to me, right? She had a sister who worked in a school, and I never knew what Auntie Geneva did. I never knew what she did really, but I always knew that she came home talking about working with these kids. And she would talk about reading to them. And, and years later, I found out that she was an assistant in a classroom, in an elementary classroom. And growing up around my grandmother, I had all these old ladies, older ladies talking and, having their conversations and cooking good food. And I can tell you that experience, and my grandmother and my Auntie Geneva were so integral in me becoming an educator, because they encouraged me to read. They encouraged me to play school all the time. And I remember and people don't know this part of my story, I had a child when I was 17. And so I'm very transparent about that, because people think, they see the finished product. They see, oh, she has, she's this, she's that. I don't care about any of those accolades, because the journey in itself taught me so much about people and how to give grace and how to be in these places, right? But when I say to you, I am just like looking at my auntie and looking at my grandmother and thinking to myself, wow, these people believe in me enough as this little girl who had a kid at 17, right? But go play house. I mean, not house, but go read, go read stories and make sure. And I remember when I came back to my grandmother's house at 17 after having my kid, stayed there, and I worked for a year. And when you get around your family, you get complacent. It's like, oh, you had a kid, this is what it is. In my culture, I can only speak to what my experience was. My grandmother looked at me and she said, "No, ma'am, this is not happening." And I was a year out of school. I went to Florida A&M, applied, got accepted. They drove me up one day. I stood in the line for financial aid and I went to FAM. It was not planned. It was just, wow, I know you are not staying here. It was a decision just like that. So if I had to give accolades to anybody, it would be my grandmother first and her sisters, specifically Auntie Geneva, because, a lot of times we look up to historical people and people like that, but sometimes it's people right in your house who see things in you and make pivotal moves. Had she not done that for me, I would be still in this small town doing what everybody else has done. And so
we needed your light to shine, that's for sure. And
yeah.
So that's beautiful. Well, this is a part where we like to kind of each give a little of a takeaway or a spark of an idea that you may be inspired today.
Oh, cool.
And then once we go around, each of us, you as our guest kind of get the last word of anything you'd like to share or a spark that you came with. Does that sound good?
Nice. Sure.
Okay. You know what, Fred? Let's go with you first tonight. We always go with Fred because Abley.
I know it's like it's the curse of the A. It's thanks. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Sure.
I mean, everything you were saying is, so I was in the Marine Corps for 12 years, and you were reminding me also of some of my drill instructors. And you hated them, but at the end, you loved them. And,
Got it. Yeah.
And there is a very good reason why. But anyway, you said a couple of things, though. You said a lot of things. We're going to hashtag this to death. But the one thing you said early on was we need to be better than good. I love that notion because it reminds me of a phrase that I often use, and that's practice doesn't make us perfect. Perfect practice makes us perfect. And it's kind of like that same philosophy is that we can't settle. And I think that's a neat flag to plant and target. We need to be better than good, and then keep on striving for that, but supporting each other in doing that. I think that's it. But the other thing too is also at the end, and that's plug into something greater than ourselves. I mean, like I was wondering too, Pete, that was a great question. I am glad that you were able to bring that up, but I think that's a beautiful sentiment also, is that we have to make time for the greater things. And I don't know if you can hear my dog, but he is going bonkers.
Those bears again, it's that time of year,
Yeah,
Fred.
He's been barking for 20 minutes. That's why I said, that's why I was muted the whole time. But thank you.
Thank you.
How about you, Pete? I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
Sure. So within, I think our guest has the record for the most amazing things said in the first 10 minutes of an episode. Holy cow. So I wrote down first 10 minutes, the teacher's heart has not changed, which could be a show in itself, a book in itself, an episode. You need to let your light shine. I think we say that a lot on here. I think we exemplify that a lot. I'm willing to do what's uncomfortable and deal with the hard now. Gosh, that's just brilliant and refreshing. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you.
Pete. Thank you.
How about you, Latarsha?
I kind of feel like I have an advantage to everyone because I hear this great stuff in our just regular girl chats, right? While we have coffee. But I think for me, the big takeaway that I want everyone to, just consider, especially if you're a teacher still in the classroom. I know that it's difficult for us as teachers to have be on the receiving end of those hard conversations. But I just want to implore everyone that if you have a leader that is willing to give you the space to grow, the support to grow, that really cares about you enough to let you know when you're doing great and when you need to become greater. I just want people to just embrace that because you just never know how pivotal that leader can be in your life. I mean, and I'm living proof of that. And I think part of the other thing between Latarsha and I that she's complimented me on is just the humility of me being teachable and open, and I think this is a beautiful time during these, very trying times that we just remain teachable, extend grace to others and ourselves, and connect with an amazing leader because I think we need it.
Well said. Well said. So mine that I wrote down, and I did give the spoiler alert, was education puts us in a box. When you said that, for me, it was just the visual alone, like you mentioned, the evaluations.
Right.
The classrooms are literally boxes. The buildings are these awful boxes full with cement blocks, which are boxes. And then I was like, rubrics are literally boxes. You check off things. So as we're getting into the gift giving holidays right now, you think about a box when you get a box and you open it, right? It's a gift. I think it's a gift to be in this profession. I really do. But it's up to us to open the box and really try to enjoy it, shine, learn from it, get creative with it, be curious about it, right? To get out of that box that we're being put into. So that came all to me when you said education is a box. So thank you so much, Latarsha.
You're welcome.
Is there something that you would like? You get the last word. So anything you'd like to say, we're going to leave it to you.
it's interesting. First of all, thank you guys for allowing this space. One of the things that I ask of people that I work with is for them to ask the next question. And oftentimes we ask the simple question. We ask the question that seems like the next question, but it really isn't just the next question. Just so ask the next question, right? Go deeper into those questions, because the more you go and continue to ask, then what? Okay, so what next? And how much more? Or, well, why did you think that? Or what else can I give? Or what else do I need? And so as you guys were talking, I thought to myself, how can I put it all together, right? And when you think about yourself as a teacher leader, and that's who I'm talking to in this moment, because, you know, we're all here and I'm sure there's a lot of experience on this in this podcast right now. But for those people who are on the cusp of doing something great, who are on the cusp of doing something great that is not mediocre and is not the standard, right? You're going to have to push yourself to ask the next question, because the next question is going to be where that great thing happens. And that's all I want, because your heart is there. Like, you already bring the heart, but it's the guts that I need. The heart is already there, but now we need the guts and the courage to say, okay, oh, that lesson was banging. But the next question is, how can I knock their socks off it, you know, the next time? You know what I mean? So, you know, to your audience, you know, I'm pretty sure the people who follow you are hungry. They are people who want more, because people who listen to podcasts like this are people who want to be great and not just good, right? And I'm sure they're going to glean some wisdom from you guys on other episodes, previous episodes and episodes to come. But at the end of the day, when you turn off the podcast, or when you close the book, or when you leave school or that training, it really does fall on the individual person asking that question of themselves. What's next? How much deeper do I need to go? So you can tap into what's great about you, because that's really all I want. That's really all we want.
I love that.
So
our listeners, I know they're going to want to reach out to you. Where can they find you?
So they can find me at The Reading Bench on Instagram. And that's where they can reach me. I'm a one-stop shop. I keep everything simple. If you go in there in my bio, click on my link tree, you'll see everything there. But that's the place to find me on IG. I'm there and I'm available, and I love working with people. So
that sounds great. And Pete, where can our listeners find us and connect with us?
Our website, teacherpeprally.com. Come on over to Facebook, join our Facebook group. Fred, is it Facebook group or is it meta group yet? Did they change it?
Still just a Facebook group.
Okay, good. Just checking.
It's going to be a meta group.
There we go. And gosh, we'd love to hear from you. And, you know, subscribe, leave us a review, let us know, give us some feedback. It will help us reach more people and all. Check out Fred's episodes. We do the video episodes on YouTube. And then also give us a call. At the end of tonight, we're going to be playing our voicemail from our first voicemail from a past guest. I can't wait till you guys can hear it. But 678-439-TPR1. Give us a call. Let's keep the conversation going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Latarsha, for being here. We loved having you on the Teachers Pep Rally.
Love being on. Thank you, guys.